always had an admiration for the guitar and for guitarists because, you know, obviously they're the thing that's the most heard and the most out front in the band. The more that I've done research on this, looking to try and put this together as a business, I started realizing and kind of like immersing myself in what the guitar meant to music. And man, I'm blown away. As a matter of fact, I'm passionate about it because I want other people to get what I've been missing. I'm 45 years old, and 4 years ago is when I really started studying the instrument and trying to figure out what all it meant. This thing called the electric guitar kind of created rock and roll, you know? I mean, and if you think about how that impacted culture with fashion and opinions and look at what it's doing today, it's changed everything, you know, and it's all, if you rewind it back to 1950 when Leo Fender came out with, you know, that Esquire, it just changed everything. You know, it's not a bunch of famous people, it's really just a bunch of guys that love this instrument, that put it together in kind of a collaborative, historical way, and it worked out where they let me and David Davidson put a neat exhibit together, and so we've been able to accomplish it.
Well, I'm kind of equally as crazy about these things as they are, and they approached us about the possibility of me coming down and helping out, and I said, man, this sounds like right up my alley. It's an astounding collection. You know, I think all total about 1,700 pieces. And I'd probably be able to run a bunch of different stuff in through here over time, and this isn't even close to, I think they said about a third of it that's on display here.
The great thing about it is these guitars are accessible to us as well. You know, the way the case design is, some of the ones up front, you know, you want to let them tell the story for the people that maybe aren't as guitar savvy as others. And so we want to talk about how they were made in the period in history and how all that flows together.
You know, you'll sit there in a room full of people, a restaurant full of people, and not even think that every single person in there has a story. And so do these. Sometimes it's the most interesting part of an instrument, it's where it came from. And there's just something magical about them that something new doesn't carry. You know, it doesn't carry history. Something new doesn't have any history.
We kind of had a vision of wanting to do a tiered experience. And so we kind of wanted a second tier, and I kind of had this idea of the vault. I don't know, it seemed like it was mentioned in a conversation somewhere along the way that we do a vault. So when you come back here, you get the opportunity to see it with a tour guide, and they can tell you more about it. So I didn't want to do as much animation around these guitars and kind of wanted to just have them by themselves in a case in all their glory, and that's kind of what you see behind me. What's cool about those Esquires, if you'll look at them, those two have 2 pickups. And I think there's only been 8 documented 2 pickup Esquires, and we have 6 of them. I'm not sure why they made those. My research has shown that I think that maybe somebody wanted the 2 pickup Telecaster, the new model, and all they had was Esquires, and so they probably took the Esquire off the shelf and routed out another pickup and changed the pick guard and put the electronics in it. That way they could deliver it to a customer. I don't know how else to think. Why would they do a 2 pickup Esquire when they have a Telecaster? So it's just freaks, you know, it's cool stuff. And this place is full of freaks. That's what I love. That serial number on that guitar, when you remove the neck plate on it, is actually a January date, and they didn't bring any of these guitars out until May. So that's one of the earliest Stratocasters, you know, known, period. So spruce body, that's what makes it kind of funky, and you can tell it was loved, man. Lap steel pickups,
yep.
Lap steel knobs, lap steel logo. You know, Leo was convinced that hard rock maple would be stout on its own. Needless to say, Moisture had a different answer. This is a really special guitar. I mean, you just don't see a lot of them, you know.
And you got to understand, a lot of times the value of an instrument might be twice as much because of who owned it. It might be twice as much because they, like with a D45 you were talking about, they only made 91 of them. You know, with a lower quartet, there's only 8 possible quartets. The rarity of something sometimes could be the reason it is what it is. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would pay that kind of money for an instrument, but I found out that I would. The thing is, I've only played a handful of them. I've only gotten to play maybe a half a dozen. And if there's 1,700, I'd really hate to choose just yet. But they've got an advanced jumbo that's the best one of those I've ever played. They've got a 1942 D28 that might be one of the best herringbones I've ever played. I'm not the kind of guy who says, mine's better. You know, I'm saying, yeah, this smokes mine. You know, I wish I had this one, so. You might find a 15-year-old kid that'll come in here and see a guitar and go, oh, Hendrix played a guitar that looked like that. Jimmy Page played one of those Les Pauls, and so Bill Monroe played a mandolin like that. To me, I have the opportunity here to inspire some people to kind of learn a little bit about historically what these instruments have done for our culture and our music, the stuff that we love.